Hey, my name is Gagan, and in this video, I'll walk you through three real influencing attempts I made and planned and executed. Each structure using the card model, which is context, action, result, and do better. So my major principle is affiliation, which I applied in two examples, and my minor principle is value framing, which I applied in the third example. So all three interactions took place after the 11th of July. So the first example, which is my major example for affiliation. So a little bit of context over here that I'd like to give is that I work as a consultant in the data analytics team with SPI, where I build solutions using Power BI, Python, SQL, and Microsoft Fabric as well. So this example took place during the FAM project. The existing process was heavily manual, and I wanted to move it to an automated pipeline in Microsoft Fabric that would extract, process, transform, and report the data using a Power BI dashboard, completely hands free, right? So my objective was to get Matt, the client who I was working with, to build this tool and to get an approval for the new approach as well. So there was some resistance, mainly because it was seen as too time consuming, and it is something that needed to be set up from the start. So, what was the action that I took? I applied the principle of affiliation. Rather than pushing the technical case first, I leaned on the shared history that I had between Matt. I used Microsoft Fabric before, and so had one of my peers. So I was able to draw on how manual this kind of task had been for us in the past, and how we'd use a very similar method to automate it successfully by framing it as something we'd already navigated together and a problem we both recognized. It became a shared effort towards a common goal rather than me assigning a new piece of work. Me assigning a new piece of work, all right? So, what is the result? The conversation shifted from resistance to collaboration, and Matt approved the development of the automated tool. What do you think I could have done better? So next time I'd actually build that sense of shared history earlier in the engagement rather than surfacing it only when I needed a buy-in. That would make the influence even more natural. So the second example that I would like to talk about now is again with regards to affiliation, and the context that I like to give here is this comes from Ronin FC. All right. So Ronin FC is actually a fight promotion based out of Bangalore, which I am a part of time to time. So in the lead up to our last event, the fight card was actually set and everything was on track until one of the fighters on our pro card had to drop out due to an injury. This put an important fight at risk, and the team initial reaction was to drop this fight and move on. But my objection was to get the team and specifically the owner Arun to keep the fight on the card and find a replacement at very short notice. So, what was the action that I took over here? So, I used the principle of affiliation. Instead of overriding the team, I drew on a shared experience and shared purpose from the past. And I reminded Arun that in the past, people came specifically to watch strong fighters who had technical superiority and amazing skill and who could put on a show. And he knew that when we put on quality talent in the case, the crowd showed up. The team grows and the sport grows with it. I also pointed to the fact that we pulled off tougher last minute saves together in the past. By anchoring it, by anchoring it in what we'd achieved as a team in the past and what we all wanted for the event, it became a shared responsibility rather than my individual push for it. So this was the action that I took, but what was the result? So Arun and the team agreed to keep the fight, and we secured a confirmed replacement fighter at very short notice. And by the way, it was a banger of a fight, a banger of the event, and the crowd went mad for it, I must say. What do you think I could have done better? Looking back, I'd actually built a contingency plan for fighter dropouts earlier in the planning cycle. So these conversations happen from a position of preparation rather than a position of pressure, which is honestly not good. The last and third example would be the minor principle of value framing. What's the context? So, my third example is from a project with Tristan, the client where we were building a tool for. The original request was a Power BI dashboard where the stakeholder, which is Tristan, could actually key in the data via a Power app that would update the backend database. I saw real problems with this. It would be unreliable, slow, time consuming, and it would not sustain in the long term for sure. So what was the action that I took? I applied the principle of value framing rather than focusing on the problem with the requested approach. I framed the conversation around the value of an alternative, a new functionality within Microsoft Fabric called user defined functions. I shifted the discussion from cost and risk to benefit. It's more robust, more easier to change and develop because it's mainly Python based and it offers more functionality that improve the user experience in the end, because that's what matters. Meaning users need to feel good when they're using a particular tool. So by centering the conversation on what we'd gain rather than the effort involved, the alternative became clearly the stronger choice in the end. So what was the result? We moved ahead with the UDF based approach. The project was confirmed and it gained good traction and prevented significant time loss. In this particular situation, what could I have done better? In future, I'd support the value framing with more concrete data, for example, side by side comparison of development time or reliability to make the case even more compelling. Yes. So, in the end, the conclusion is that these three examples taught me that influence isn't about authority or pressure. Though through affiliation, I saw that people are far more receptive when there's a genuine sense of connection and shared purpose. Through value framing, I learned that how you present an option can completely change how you are perceived actually. In each case, I was able to reach a professional outcome while keeping the working relationship strong, intact, and healthy. Thank you.